The tome reader follows a devoted librarian. See, I said tome, like a book, and reader instead of raider. Yeah, y'all should unsubscribe. That joke, no lie, came to me when I woke up. So my creative process, apparently and quite literally, is saying the first thing that pops into my head. Tomb Raider is a 2013 action-adventure game developed by Crystal Dynamics and published by Square Enix Europe. In 2014, the Definitive Edition, a graphically superior iteration, was released on next-generation consoles. Apparently, they're on an Apple release schedule over there. The game follows Lara Croft, whose hugs are no longer lethal. You know, cause on the PS1, her pectoral apparatuses were much more acute. And yes, this is the first time anyone has ever pluralized apparatus.
Why are you the way that you are?
Lara embarks on an expedition to find the lost kingdom of Yamatai, which sounds like it would be the subtitle for a lame Netflix reboot of a once dope anime. Speaking of Netflix, you guys should totally check out The Good Place. It is a gem. Thank me later. What were we talking about again?
I don't know what is going on, but somewhere our wires got crossed.
Tomb Raider. So think Indiana Jones, but instead of smuggling relics in a hearse, a young woman stashes a nightstand in her tank top.
I'm kind of retarded.
Tomb Raider is about an archaeology graduate who is peer pressured into becoming John Rambo, except with a smaller chest. Hopefully that negates all the bad boob jokes. That is all the bad boob jokes to come, because there will probably be more. Seriously though, the character is not super sexualized, yet still manages to be aesthetically pleasing, which is a breath of fresh air, considering how modern games insist on ogretizing female characters. Yes, ogretizing is a word that I just made up. But we're here for a review, aren't we? So, the good. The voice acting and dialogue are good. Mostly. At times, the script can be a little cheesy. But not Popeye's mac and cheese cheesy, just like stingy Chipotle cheesy. But make no mistake, voices are not the only forms of mad decent audio here. The sound of the climbing axe pricking a rock wall, rain spitting on earth's furrowed brow, wind whispering through the naked foliage, and anything else I can say to sound patently suggestive. All of these things sound good. Tomb Raider is also satisfying tonally. There is always a sense of movement and impending doom, whether it's expressed in the solid soundtrack, the cinematography, the intense one-sided gunfights, or those cranky wolves that like to get frisky in the dark. Lara never catches a break. She gets less rest than the Octomom. The wall scramble is more satisfying than vacuuming cat litter. Don't judge me. Making simple navigation just as entertaining as battling enemies. Sometimes the environments seem bigger than they are, which is good because it helps evoke a sense of adventure. The world is populated with resources, relics, animals, and lore, all of which richen the experience. When it came to resources, I rarely found myself checking my ammo the way I check my bank balance before I order Chipotle through DoorDash, which let me run, gun, and just have fun. Other resources upgrade Laura's abilities and weapons, which perpetuate the notion of Laura really growing into her newly acquired role. Relics incentivize exploration. as do Hidden Tombs, which present puzzles and give gamers a break from all the lopsided encounters. The puzzles are neither too difficult nor too easy, so one doesn't waste too much time, nor does one breeze through them so quickly that one might find them redundant. Hunted animals provide XP, and scattered bits of lore make the world feel more lived in. It's also a plus that lore exists as text and audio simultaneously, being read in the author's voice. Speaking of lore, I really like how the game uses the narrative to justify the obtainment of every weapon versus them just being a random assortment of things. For an older game, it still looks alright. There were moments where I thought, this looks like a PS3 game, and others where I felt like the visuals were, by modern standards, serviceable. Now to the bad. On their default setting, subtitles are very much in the way. And I say default because perhaps there are options to adjust their appearance, but come on, should anyone really have to do that type of fine tuning? Captions feature large text on a black transparent box. Does the black box prevent the text from getting lost in the background? Sure. Is it still a lot to look at? Also sure. Some animations seem unnatural, like when there's a close-up of Lara opening containers. It's easy to catch the lack of organic motion. There isn't a lot of range in facial animation either. On that note, another ability Lara apparently mastered was ventriloquism, because there was an audio bug at a campfire where it looped a sound effect endlessly. This bug impacted every sound afterward. I had to restart from my last checkpoint just to fix it. Furthermore, the puzzle in the flooded vault was mad broken. No matter how much I pulled, the raft would not move. I had to restart from the nearest save to get it to work. Speaking of having to restart, there's a point where Lara has to escape a burning area by sliding down a slope and then jumping to cling to a rock wall. My game crashed before the cling every time. I tried everything to troubleshoot the issue, to no avail. I gave the game one more reboot before quitting forever, and for no reason at all, it finally worked. The cover system sticks you to nearby structures, but in a fight where such structures reside in the middle of the arena, it means you may accidentally get stuck while aiming to maintain motion, such as exercising an evasive maneuver for, the sake of not dying. This happened to me while fighting the first shield dude, and it was quite annoying. He's pursuing me. The way to beat him specifically is by evading, yet I'm getting stuck to concrete barriers. And on the topic of cover, sometimes when aiming around corners, my body was positioned in the wrong orientation. On the topic of shooting, when I was out of ammo for one weapon, instead of receiving audible feedback like clicking or haptic feedback like rumble, the game switched me to the bow. This is good because you're cycled to a weapon with ammo, but bad because you're confused as to why you're suddenly using the bow, or because you're desperately mashing the fire button in the heat of battle and deploy an arrow by accident, thusly wasting ammo. Crouch traversing through tight spaces was a little too slow for me, and there were instances of birds perching on nothing. I went into Tomb Raider being very skeptical, initially thinking, this isn't Uncharted and it never will be. But it turns out, this game didn't have to be. And in some ways, it's actually a superior game. And I was left very much looking forward to playing the next two, and hopefully, one day, a new trilogy.